She couldn't force people to write the stories that she wanted them to write, so therefore she left to get privacy so that she could write the stories in her own.
January 2026 exploded online after brand new yacht photos of Meghan Markle surfaced. Pictures she reportedly thought were buried for good. These weren't the same old recycled shots people have debated for years. Nope, this was fresh, crystal clear material never seen before, and it hit the internet like a storm. What made it even wilder was what the photos seemed to reveal: Meghan appearing in ultra-exclusive private settings she's never talked about publicly. And now, people connected to Middle Eastern high society circles are suddenly speaking out louder than ever. They claim the images fit perfectly with what's been whispered behind the scenes for years about Meghan's pre-royal life and the circles she moved in. Sources tied to Gulf region elites allege she wasn't just casually attending random parties. Instead, they suggest she was strategically networking across Monaco and the Mediterranean, mingling in spaces meant for serious wealth and influence. These weren't public vacations or tourist events. The leaked shots allegedly show Meghan at intimate yacht gatherings surrounded by high-profile figures from Saudi Arabia and other powerful nations. These new photos don't look like random snapshots. They paint a picture of calculated networking, not coincidence. What's shocking is how completely silent these connections have stayed in public talk, until now. And the timing couldn't be more suspicious. Meghan is right in the middle of a huge image refresh: Netflix deals, lifestyle projects, and new ventures. And suddenly, out of nowhere, these old photos appear again. It feels like someone deliberately wanted to drag her past back into the spotlight, to question the version of her story being presented today. The burning question across every comment section is the same: who leaked these images, and what else might be waiting to surface? Because if this much came out at once, people can't help but wonder what's still hidden behind the scenes. The moment the photos hit social media, chaos followed instantly. These weren't old recycled yacht pictures from past debates. These were pulled from private collections.
Where do you go from here? What do you become after this? You get the picture. Now, this is the reason why many people understand the marriage, shall we say, has hit one of
the kind of material that usually never leaves those circles until someone hit upload, and once it was out, there was no turning back. The images allegedly show Meghan in Monaco and other Mediterranean hotspots during her pre-royal years, surrounded by extreme luxury, lavish yachts, designer outfits, and champagne flowing on decks worth millions. Faces in the background looked familiar to those who follow international business and high society circles, and it didn't take long before social media exploded. A brand new hashtag shot to the top of trending lists, TikTok creators began frame-by-frame breakdowns, and Twitter users started connecting clues like detectives. The photos spread like wildfire because they seemed to show a version of Meghan's past rarely discussed publicly. And what set them apart this time was the clarity. No blurry shots or vague outlines here. People argue these images clearly show Meghan in exclusive environments she's never talked about before, raising very pointed questions about access, influence, and opportunity. The tone online shifted fast. People stopped asking if she knew powerful figures and started asking how she got there and who helped her move in those circles. According to multiple sources linked to elite international networks, the photos align exactly with what's been rumored for years. They claim Meghan wasn't just casually attending social gatherings for fun. She was part of a refined, invitation-only networking world built around power, positioning, and presence. One insider familiar with these spaces explained it best: these aren't regular parties. They're about relationship building at the highest level. You show up polished, discreet, and ready to connect. You travel to private venues, attend events closed off to the public, and never discuss who you meet or why. It's not random socializing. It's strategic, top-tier networking at its finest. During Meghan's early acting years, when she was still struggling to find her footing, her sudden appearance in elite international circles.
That you wanted to go back to LA and that Canada was always going to be a pit stop. From the very beginning, this woman orchestrated leaving the royal family because all she's ever wanted in her life was to be an A-lister in Hollywood. She did not have the talent to become an A-lister in Hollywood. She was relegated to a D-list actress spot on a show called Suits that nobody in America had seen, but apparently, which Prince Harry
raised more than a few eyebrows. She seemed to fit a very specific profile: ambitious, relatively unknown, and somehow gaining access to spaces far beyond what her public career or reported income could explain. That kind of entry doesn't just happen by chance, not in those worlds. People familiar with these circles insist that introductions are never random. Someone opens the door, someone vouches, and someone decides you're worth bringing in. That's how access works at the top. And insiders now suggest Meghan didn't end up in those spaces by luck. Her path there was facilitated. Here's where things get even more intense. The latest leaks, according to those same insiders, didn't come from tabloids or random fans scrolling through archives. They allegedly came from within those elite environments. Someone with first-hand access, documentation, and personal knowledge of who Meghan was connecting with and how those relationships were being built. If that's true, it completely changes the narrative. Because if one insider decided to share these photos, it raises the question, what else might still be out there? Are there more records, images, or private communications that could paint an even clearer picture of how Meghan positioned herself within global power circles? What's reportedly being discussed privately among international elites is far more detailed than what's being debated online. The photos allegedly place Meghan at exclusive events where Saudi and Gulf state figures were also present, same venues, same yachts, same small gatherings, often hosted by the same facilitators known for orchestrating introductions between global business and political players. Those are not places someone just stumbles into.
Scandals which have never come out, I'm told, and the palace have been able to shut them down. So I think the belief is that they can shut these scandals down, and it's only when the scandals emerge that they have to put Plan B into practice. So, and I think if that's the case, then that could be very damaging.
You don't wander onto a private yacht lined with royalty, billionaires, and world leaders by accident. Access is selective, planned, and protected. Someone always approves your presence, and only when you're seen as valuable to the network. What people keep pointing out now is how comfortable Meghan appeared in those photos. She didn't look out of place, nervous, or unsure of herself. Quite the opposite. She seemed completely at ease, blending right in, like someone who understood the unspoken etiquette and power dynamics that come with that level of exclusivity. And according to several people who've operated within those circles, Meghan wasn't just showing up once or twice, she was maintaining ongoing relationships. They describe it as consistent interaction with high-profile Gulf and Saudi-connected figures during that period, involving multiple private events, quiet travel arrangements, and complete discretion about who was involved. That detail alone has sparked huge debate online because it suggests this wasn't casual mingling. It was calculated, consistent networking that required trust, planning, and purpose. The timeline also adds weight to the conversation. The newly surfaced photos are said to date from around 2008 to 2012, right in the middle of Meghan's reported financial struggle in Los Angeles. Yet the settings captured in those photos are anything but modest. Luxury yachts, opulent parties, and Mediterranean destinations known as playgrounds for the ultra-wealthy. By 2010, images place her at high-profile yacht gatherings in Monaco and other coastal hubs, the same locations that were reportedly frequented by Gulf state and international business elites during that time. The overlaps are striking. Same region, same events, same facilitators who specialize in linking ambitious newcomers with established global players.
She did that on her own. Show me royals who have this kind of photo. What? See, the thing is, Meghan, if you need to Photoshop pictures, but then you get mad at your haters because we're calling out your Photoshopped pictures.
And that's exactly why these leaks have reignited so many questions that just won't go away. Then, as 2011 rolled around, Meghan suddenly landed her breakout role on Suits, a turning point that didn't follow the usual Hollywood route. It didn't come from years of auditioning in low-budget rooms or slowly climbing casting lists. That's when people began taking a closer look at her rise and wondering whether there was more behind that timing than anyone realized. Everyone else has to fight their way up. But industry insiders have always whispered that Meghan's path to her breakout role wasn't so simple. The connections behind it were never fully explained. And now, with these new photos out, that missing piece suddenly looks impossible to ignore. Because what do these images really suggest? They point to years of quiet, deliberate networking with people who had genuine influence, individuals capable of making calls, opening doors, and shaping opportunities behind the curtain. A leap like that doesn't happen in a vacuum. Fast forward to 2016, when Meghan meets Prince Harry through Marcus Anderson and Soho House. Suddenly, the entire timeline makes sense. By then, she had already spent nearly a decade moving comfortably within elite spaces. She wasn't new to high society. She already understood how power circles worked, how to navigate, how to present herself as valuable, and how to form relationships that opened real opportunities. This wasn't luck. This was experience. And those newly surfaced photos make that very clear. Meghan didn't just show up at random yacht parties for fun. The pattern is undeniable. Multiple yachts over multiple years, with the same types of high-level international figures appearing time and time again. That's not coincidence. That's consistency. And consistency like that screams strategy, not chance. Here's what people aren't saying loudly enough.
She'd had a life, she was an actress, she'd been married before, so she was pretty much clued up. And I think what's happened is she's come into the royal family and this archaic system has tried to control her and say, you will do this, you will do.
These photos didn't appear by accident. Someone clearly waited for this moment. Right as Meghan is rolling out her rebrand, new lifestyle ventures, Netflix projects, and media appearances. Boom. The past comes crashing back into focus. Whoever dropped these images knew exactly when to strike for maximum effect. They waited until Meghan likely believed that chapter of her life was long gone, that there was no proof left, no new material, no visuals that could reopen old discussions. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, brand new photos no one had ever seen hit the internet. That kind of timing isn't random. It feels like a message, like someone quietly saying, "We remember more than you think." Without ever going public, that move strongly implies this came from someone within those same international elite circles. Maybe a person who didn't appreciate how certain stories have been retold or rebranded over the years. Maybe someone felt their own circle was being unfairly pulled into Meghan's narrative. Or maybe someone just wanted to remind the world that image and reality don't always align. Whatever the motive, it doesn't look impulsive. It looks calculated. If these photos are leaking now, in January 2026, long after Meghan supposedly left that world behind, then someone's been holding on to them for years, waiting for this exact moment. That's not coincidence, that's patience. And that's what makes this situation so powerful. Meghan spent years avoiding any deep conversation about that era, brushing off speculation and framing it as unfair criticism. But now, with actual images surfacing from private collections, everything changes. The photos appear to show her exactly where insiders once said she'd been, and doing exactly what they described. This isn't just online rumor anymore.
Because the people of this country don't like the fact that she's stolen our prince. And she's literally brainwashed him, blinkered him, and tied him down to his California.
This is photographic evidence being interpreted by millions. And Meghan's reaction? Absolute silence. No explanations, no clarifications, no statements from her team offering context or timeline corrections. Just quiet. And that silence is being noticed everywhere. Because if these photos were simple or easily explained, her team would be moving fast to set the record straight. They'd be saying things like, "Here's the truth, here's who invited her, here's why this was a legitimate event." But instead, nothing. No narrative, no pushback, no effort to take control of the story. And in the world of celebrity and media, silence is its own message. It suggests a waiting game, hoping the noise dies down, hoping the timeline fades, hoping people stop asking the one question that refuses to go away. How did a struggling actress manage to live like that and move in circles that exclusive? For now, the internet keeps replaying those images, examining every detail, while Meghan's silence grows louder with every passing day, leaving the world to draw its own conclusions about what those years really meant and who helped make them possible. That silence speaks volumes. These new yacht photos raise the kind of questions Meghan clearly doesn't want to face publicly. Questions about a side of her past she's never fully acknowledged or explained. So let's break down what's actually sitting in front of the world right now. Brand new images, released in January 2026, appear to show Meghan socializing and networking with ultra-influential international circles during her struggling actress years. That fact alone sparks massive curiosity. The first big question, who was funding this lifestyle? Because let's be real, cable TV actors don't just casually show up at multi-million-dollar yacht events surrounded by international business moguls and power players. Someone had to be covering the travel, the access, the presentation, all of it. So who made that possible, and under what kind of arrangement?
Bad security. This is all in a desperate bid for headlines and for Harry to say, "Oh, see, we need security even in the US. This is disgusting and they should be investigated."
Yes, sir.
I mean, it's incredible how desperate Meghan Markle is to be compared to Princess Diana in a desperate bid to chase him.
Second question, how did she even get in? You don't simply walk into private elite gatherings filled with world figures and royalty. These are invite-only environments with layers of protection and exclusivity. So who opened the door for her? Who vouched for her presence? And who decided she belonged in those spaces? Third question, what exactly did these networking relationships involve? The photos show closed-off yacht gatherings and small high-level meetings, not casual social events open to the public. This looks like professional-level interaction within elite circles. So how deep did those ties go, and what was exchanged in terms of opportunities, introductions, or influence? Then comes the fourth question. How did all this connect to her sudden rise? Because the timeline is hard to ignore. She went from being a little-known actress struggling in Los Angeles to landing suits, and soon after, meeting Prince Harry through her Soho House connections. By that point, she'd already spent years mingling within international elite networks. So who exactly opened those doors? How much of that professional and social momentum came from the groundwork laid in those earlier years? And finally, the fifth question. Who leaked these photos now, and why? These images were apparently kept under wraps for over a decade, and now, suddenly, they're everywhere in early 2026. That kind of release doesn't happen by accident. Someone clearly made a calculated decision to push this chapter of her past back into the public eye at the exact moment when Meghan is trying to reshape her brand. These aren't conspiracy theories. These are legitimate questions based on real visuals that just surfaced. And Meghan's silence only fuels the conversation further because every day she stays quiet, speculation grows louder.
Her father was giving her money and car, and helping her get auditions. And I mean, what do you think? I mean, does it really just the money, or do you think it's fame?
Well, I mean, it's both, because if you think about it, you're not making that much on Deal or No Deal, right? But it was a national television show. It was on NBC. It was a network.
Now, let's look at why the timing of this leak matters so much. Meghan is deep in the middle of a massive rebrand. She's launching Netflix projects, lifestyle ventures, and pushing hard to step away from royal headlines. The whole new image centers around being relatable, grounded, and authentic. Then out of nowhere, boom. New crystal-clear photos drop showing her in settings tied to international wealth, luxury, and influence. The kind of environments she's never publicly talked about or clarified. These images directly contradict the simple, down-to-earth image she's selling now, showing a long-running pattern of high-level networking that predates her fame. And that's what people can't stop asking. How does this fit? How does the woman promoting authenticity and empowerment reconcile with a newly resurfaced past that suggests strategic connections, exclusive events, and global networking far beyond what anyone expected? The world isn't getting answers yet, just silence. And in moments like this, silence becomes its own headline. The question everyone's asking now is, how does this all line up? How does the carefully crafted, relatable story, the one meant to connect with everyday women, fit with these new images? Because these yacht photos hit that narrative hard. They tell a different version, one that points not just to ambition and determination, but to calculated networking inside elite international circles during those so-called struggling years. Let's be clear, networking itself isn't wrong. Everyone does it in one form or another. It's how careers are built in nearly every industry. But what makes this situation so striking is how completely it clashes with the image Meghan has presented to the world. The self-made story of someone who started from nothing, had no special access, no secret doors opened.
I like to think that Meghan would like that. Meghan likes to be number one. Meghan does not simply degrade Prince Harry. She degrades his entire family, his entire legacy. And this is a different kind of embarrassment. She has mocked his heritage, his traditions, his grandmother, the former Queen of England, and it seems like she did so
and built everything on her own. These photos, however, whisper something else entirely. They show a young woman already surrounded by wealth, influence, and exclusivity, long before the royal chapter even began. And that contrast is what's driving this story right now. Because when you build your public brand on authenticity and hard work, evidence of deep-level access raises huge questions about what parts of that story were carefully edited out. The most fascinating part is the precision behind these leaks. This didn't feel accidental, it felt planned. Whoever released these images waited years, maybe even a decade, to do it. They held on to them quietly, biding their time, until the moment would sting the most. Right when Meghan is pushing her global rebrand with Netflix projects, lifestyle brands, and new ventures designed to reshape her image. Then, suddenly, boom, never-before-seen photos appear, showing her moving through international circles she's never once acknowledged. That's not coincidence. That's strategy. And what makes this even more intense is the silence that followed. Meghan's team didn't issue statements. No clarifications, no denials, not even the usual, "these are taken out of context" type of response. Just silence. absolute strategic quiet. And that quiet speaks volumes, because when you don't address something this explosive, the public fills in the blanks for you. It's that silence that's now becoming her biggest challenge. See, these photos don't just show fancy parties, they highlight patterns. Multiple yachts, multiple years, the same kinds of figures, the same faces in the background, the same environments tied to power and influence. That level of consistency suggests something far more deliberate than just a few lucky invitations. It looks like long-term, organized networking.
Actress, what she does is that she studies people. She's not a good actress, but she is a trained one, right? She's been doing it her entire life. And there is no doubt that she studied Princess Diana. She studied her mannerisms towards Harry when he was a boy and the way that she grabs her face. And this is the psychopathic elements of what she does, putting a pregnancy text next to Princess Diana's hair, saying that she put her hands on the grave to have a conversation with her, bursting.
A plan, not a coincidence. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Insiders familiar with those elite spaces, especially in Middle Eastern and Gulf state circles, have pointed out something that makes this even more dramatic. Those worlds value discretion above everything. What happens at those private events stays quiet, always. That's the unspoken rule. Nobody talks, nobody leaks, nobody exposes. Ever. So, if images from those settings are suddenly leaking now, it means something major shifted. Either someone inside those circles got tired of protecting her narrative, or someone decided it was time for their side of the story to surface. In either case, it signals a breakdown in that long-standing silence. That kind of shift doesn't happen randomly. It usually happens when trust is broken, when loyalties change, or when someone feels misrepresented by how the public story's being told. And that's what's sending shockwaves through online spaces right now, because it means this isn't just about old photos. It's about power dynamics behind the scenes, about who controls what version of the story gets told. Maybe the leaks came from someone who felt Meghan's current branding didn't reflect the reality they knew. Maybe someone inside those circles didn't like seeing certain connections erased or rewritten. Or maybe, after all the global attention and the never-ending media storm, Meghan simply became too visible to quietly protect anymore. Whatever the reason, the timing couldn't have been more brutal, right in the middle of her image transformation. And now people are openly asking what else could be waiting to surface. If insiders have held onto these photos for years, what other material exists? Are there more photos, event lists, travel details, or messages locked away somewhere? Nobody knows. And that uncertainty is fueling even more speculation. According to several people familiar with those high-end circles, this might just be the opening move. Whoever leaked these yacht photos could be testing reactions, watching how the public responds, before deciding what to release next. That means this story might not be over, not even close. If more comes out, it could include new photos, private travel details, event invitations, or even accounts from people who were physically present at those gatherings. People who could describe how networking happened in real time. Who introduced who vouched for who, and what those relationships looked like up close. That possibility alone has everyone's attention, because once the walls of discretion start cracking, the flow of information doesn't stop easily. It usually starts slow, one leak, one image, one detail, and then snowballs into a storm that's impossible to contain. Right now, Meghan's facing a crossroads. She can continue staying silent and hope it fades away, or she can step forward and address the story directly, something she's avoided for years. But either choice comes with pressure. Staying quiet lets the speculation keep growing, but speaking out could open doors to even tougher questions about her past and her connections. And that's the dilemma she's in. The rebrand she's worked so hard to build, centered on honesty, empowerment, and authenticity, is now colliding with a version of her past that doesn't match that tone. These photos have shifted how people see her, and that shift isn't easy to undo. Because now the conversation isn't just about fame, success, or royal headlines, it's about how she got there, what happened behind the scenes, who opened those doors, and why. And for someone who's spent years controlling her narrative, this is the one chapter she can't fully manage. The story has taken on a life of its own, powered by images that speak louder than any interview or statement ever could. At the heart of it, the question remains the same. Does this stop here, or is more still to come? Because these newly leaked photos already cracked open a door Meghan likely wanted sealed shut. Someone, somewhere, decided they were done keeping quiet, done protecting old connections, done letting her version go unchallenged. Brand new images pulled from private collections hit the internet in January 2026. Dropped by someone who clearly knows the full story and wants the world to see what her networking years in elite spaces really looked like. And as of now, Meghan's response remains the same: complete silence. No explanations, no clarifications, no defense, just stillness, waiting, watching. But silence doesn't always look like control. Sometimes it looks like someone bracing for the next wave. And that's why the world is glued to this story. Because if these photos are just the beginning, what happens next could completely reshape how people view Meghan's journey. Not just as a public figure, but as someone who learned early how to move in rooms of power. If you've got thoughts on this or your own theory about what's really happening, drop them down in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs to see it. And stay tuned, because this story is unfolding fast and it's far from over.